This past January, I drove my 1998 Ford Taurus to New York City for a friend's birthday. That was a bad idea to begin with. It goes downhill from there. Went to the party, that was fine. It ended kind of early for that kind of thing, and it was a little before midnight, and I decided I would drive myself home. Because I often do that. It's a lot easier to drive home at midnight than it is to drive home at 10 o'clock in the morning with all the traffic. So I tell my friends that I'm going. I'm in Brooklyn at the time, and a friend of mine and his girlfriend, they were heading back to Manhattan, and he begged me for a ride and convinced me by saying that if you go through Manhattan from Brooklyn, you don't actually have to pay any tolls, whereas if you go over the Verrazano Bridge, you got to pay like $6. So I decided, yeah, sure, I'll go out on my way. So we dropped off one friend in Brooklyn, and I noticed as we dropped him off that my low coolant light had come on in the car. Now every light comes on in my car. When I drive, the parking brake light is on. Like just about every warning light always comes on. But I had never seen the low coolant light. So I figured, you know what, I'll drop my friends off, and then the first rest stop I get to in Jersey, I'm stopping and I'm filling the car with coolant. Well, I did not make it to New Jersey. At the base of the Brooklyn Bridge going into Manhattan, the car stopped running. Now that was on a ramp like this, which was lucky because that gave me gravity on my side. So I put the car in neutral. There's a light there. I put the car in neutral when it turned green, and we coasted to the base of the bridge. I do not recommend post 9/11 ever trying to pull your car over at the base of New York City Landmark. The police were there, to their credit, in like 20 seconds. The guy's like, you can't park here. Like I was trying to park there. Like I was slowly moving my car into a parking space there. So my friend had kind of gotten out to help push me once I had gotten onto the flat area. His girlfriend stayed in the back, and I stayed in the front, sort of trying to drive. So while the cop's sort of standing there yelling at me, not so much yelling, but upset that he actually had to kick somebody out from here, I get the car started again. So I'm like, get in the car! So my friend Andrew gets in the car, and we start driving off. Now immediately I'm going for the only gas station that we think is going to be open at about like midnight in New York City, and that's right on Houston Street, which is a little difficult to get to because every cab in New York City is also heading to that gas station when they need gas. So we went a couple blocks, got stopped at another light, boom, car's done again. Just the engine just stops, and there's not much we can do. I throw on the flashers, I put it in neutral. My friend Andrew gets out, he pushes, God bless him, although he is the reason that I was in Manhattan in the first place. But he pushes the car. Later, another friend of mine is like, how come you didn't get out and let his girlfriend drive the car while you pushed too? But that's, you know, hindsight is for losers. And in the end, I had a long night. So he pushed, we got up to a light. I got to start again, made the turn, actually got to the gas station. Got to the gas station, I thought, here I am, I'm set. I went in, I bought coolant. I filled up the car with coolant. I turned the car around. I also bought oil. I bought any sort of liquid that they had and filled up everything. And it was just, it was also like 30 degrees out, I should say. So it's cold when you're outside, but the car was still overheated, so go figure. So I filled the car with coolant and I turned it around. In the gas station, and I told my friends, oh, you guys go ahead home, you know, I'll get home from here, but I wasn't going to drop them off now because I was halfway across Manhattan to the Holland Tunnel at this point. As I turn around, my friend kind of points to the ground, and I realize, hey, all the coolant that I just put in has just poured out in the exact shape that I just turned the car around in. That's not good. So the car kind of died again. So then I went inside, asked if there was a garage. They actually had a garage open at like, you know, now after midnight. So I moved the car around into the garage, and this is where it kind of gets even more fun. Inside the garage, there was a Haitian guy in his like 20s who was a mechanic who didn't speak like any English, and an Indian guy probably in his like 50s who didn't speak any English, and smoked a lot in a garage, which is always just scary to me. An enclosed garage because it's like 30 degrees outside. And then there was an older guy who was also Indian who spoke English very well. He was the guy you sort of dealt with for money, as far as like he was the guy you paid. So I tried to explain to them, I think I just have a leak in the hose that comes out of my coolant and into the motor. Well, they put the car up, they run a test. Turns out that the pipe that goes out of the whatever, the coolant, into the motor was corroded. Liquid was dripping all over the ground. So they need to replace that part. They can get a new part for me tomorrow morning. I was like, that's no good. I have no place to go. And I gave him like puppy dog eyes, and like, really I just didn't want to leave my car that was worth like maybe $1,000 in the garage for any period of time. I was like, I'd rather just leave it on the street and be like, oh, it's stolen, because like it's not worth whatever they would charge me for repairs. So, oh man, all right, I'm gonna hurry up. So anyway, I just beg and plead, and they feel sorry for me. So they start working on the car, and they actually manufacture a part for me out of parts inside the garage. Like they take tubes. There's no cars in here. These guys were not working on anything tonight. They were so excited to work on something. These were like the two mechanics that don't work on anything. So they were just made me a part with like a saw over the course of like 4 hours, and like zip ties, and they put it on, and it worked. And then I went in to pay the guy, and I was like, oh crap, this is just going to be so expensive. And I was just nervous because it was like 4 hours of labor. That can't be cheap, But the guy only charged me $189. I was so excited. So I left like very, very happy. And then the one mechanic's like, this is how we do it in poor country. And I was like, yes. Yes. Yeah. So I made it home. He's like, you've been good for 2 years with this part. I was like, I don't know about that. So I made it home. So then I drove around like 2 more days. And then the part fell off, and I had to get my car towed to a garage. But the important thing is I got home. That's my story.